not truthful is I am my problems. I am my thoughts. Wow, someone said that about me, said it about me publicly. I must be what they said. You are not that. How could you be that? You are something so much bigger. And what I keep coming across was mostly in Buddhist teaching is the metaphor of the sky. You are the sky. You are that vast. I find that to be such a powerful visual. And when I'm in a pickle, I stop, I breathe into my heart, and I think, Danielle, you are vast. And it's immediate. Whatever I was just in a huff about is not that big of a deal.
Well, hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Terri Cole Show. In this show, I am interviewing or having a girlfriend jam, is more like it, with one of my besties, Danielle LaPorte. And I have got to tell you that she has a gift for you. How to Be Loving. Wow, dude, we all need this so much. So her new book is called How to Be Loving, as your heart is breaking open and our world is waking up. And I got this a couple of weeks ago and I started reading it and I could not believe how impactful it was for me. And hey, I'm pretty therapized, as you imagine. I'm in therapy. I'm always working on myself, but this really hit at the exact right place at the exact right time. So much about how important it is for our own happiness to be loving to ourselves and to others. It's so much deeper than that. But really, the pain that we've been in and what we've experienced in the last couple of years and how divisive it's been, it's like this book sort of sprung out of that. So if you don't know who Danielle LaPorte is, then you're probably not that familiar with my work because she is always a part of my crew. Anyway, also, if you just want to get the book, go to Danielle LaPorte / How to Be Loving. And pre-orders are happening right now. There's a bunch of events. I'm so excited. But Danielle is a member of Oprah's Super Soul 100 group of women, right? So who Oprah Winfrey says about Danielle that she is uniquely connecting the world together with a spiritual energy that matters, which is true. She's done so much in her life. But let's talk a little bit about what they're writing about, the most recent book, How to Be Loving When Your Heart is Breaking Open and the World is Waking Up. It's also an audiobook and an ebook with a companion deck and journal. So exciting. Danielle's also the author of the Firestarter Sessions. You might know her from the Desire Map, White Hot Truth, and she's the producer of dozens of meditation kits and online programs for spiritual support. She's also the creator of the Heart-Centered Membership and the Heart-Centered Leadership Program with more than 400 leaders in 30 countries, hosting conversation circles, retreats, and workshops in all kinds of communities and businesses. And again, it's all about getting back to being heart-centered. She also has a beautiful podcast that I love, just called With Love, Danielle. Often ranks in the iTunes top 10 for wellness. It's just really beautiful. A lot of times they're just 10 minutes, 11 minutes, but for me, it's always like a boost of what I need. I really hope that you guys enjoy my conversation with my pal, Danielle LaPorte, about how to be loving as much as I enjoyed interviewing her. Well, welcome to the show, Danielle LaPorte.
Terri Cole. I've been thinking about us for a long time.
I just have to start by saying I did a blurb for you years ago that is so true now, like truer than ever. So I'm just going to read it quick. Danielle LaPorte never disappoints as this generation's go-to truth teller and visionary, always leading by being ahead of the curve. She intuits what is needed and provides it at the exact right moment. That is How to Be Loving. That's exactly what this is, as your heart is breaking open and our world is waking up. So this is your first book in 5 years. Let's talk a little bit about how this came about and why now. What inspired? What did you experience prior to? We all pandemic, you love, like there's many things that have happened in your life. So share with us why now for How to Be Loving.
This wasn't going to be this book. So my old question was, how do you want to feel? That was all things Desire Map. That was a big career. It was pretty monumental. And I was feeling like even if I didn't feel the way I wanted to feel, I still felt close to God. Like I still felt really useful, which you've been my psychotherapist friend. You know I love to feel useful. And I just thought that is a great stop on the journey. Like I'm not throwing out how do you want to feel, but that is not the final destination. And I was like, this is more about what I want to embody. So I went to my publisher, Sounds True, and said, I want to do Desire Map 2.0. And their game, of course, Desire Map sold a lot of copies. And we're like, what are we going to call it? What are we going to call it? And then I did my creative thing, which I encourage everybody to have the courage to do, which is halfway through, I go, you know what? It's not called that. And they're like, okay, what do you want to call it? I'm like, it's called Heart Centered. Because, I have this heart centered leadership program and it says curriculum about embodying all these virtues. And they're like, great, we love it. And then we got another 6 months in. I was like, you know what? It's not called that. This book is about how to be loving. And also from a practical standpoint, what have I been doing for 5 years? It's all got to fit in this bucket. And that's what the bucket is. And then there were some major things that happened in the world.
Let's talk about how the pandemic, isolation, how did that impact you and your process of wanting to become the leader of How to Be Loving?
Yeah. I decided I'm really serious, and I know you know this, but I decided I was going to look at my mortality. And who knew what was going on with world health situation? I was like, maybe I'm going to die. A lot of people had to consider, like, hey, I don't know what's going on here.
Right.
And I got right with the God of my understanding. I was like, okay, I'm okay if I die. Like, I'm just going to leave it up to you. Didn't want to leave my kid, all of that, but like, I'm okay with death. Okay. And then it was like, well, what about my career and what I think I'm supposed to do? It's like, I'm okay if I let that go too. That's all right. I mean, I really just moved into like, thy will be done. Like, as you know, is one of my dearest. This longing for like the one, the partner, the king life partner. Also got on my knees and let that go. I did one fell swoop, crying, laughing one Saturday. I actually prepared for it. I was like, I'm going to go have this conversation with life. I also felt at the beginning of pandemic zone, in order to get through what we're being asked to get through, we need to, my visual was always like, we have to be throwing stuff overboard. It was just like, we're not going to get through this with our materialism and all our old hangups and all our resentments. Like, lighten your load so we can enlighten. So I was going to start with me. And then that led to, well, all those desires came back. And I know somebody listening might be, well, you didn't really let them go. No, I honestly, really, I can tell you with every cell in my body, I really let all that stuff go. But when they came back, like at the end of the summer, it was about 3 months later, I decided this was like me taking a gamble on myself. Like, I didn't know if what I wanted was going to please God, which was my old Catholic punishment thing.
Right.
And I said to life, like, I don't know if this is the right thing to want, but it's here and I'm going to go for it. So guess what? Addendum. I actually want to live more than ever. And I want to be here for my kid. I want to be here for everybody. I want to be a light in the dark. Why would I not do my career? I'm built for this. I was born with a little microphone in my hand. I want to do this. I was like, I'm so in. And then as for the partner, I was like, come on, I'm built for relationship. I'm totally meant to be with my person. I'm such a new age cliche. 2 weeks later, I met Will. After that, there was a lot of material letting go. Let go of my house, let go of my fancy car, let go of all of my high heels, 2/3 of my clothes. It's all gone. And I'm not living like a nun, even though I am part nun. Like, I have cutlery, a lot of letting go. And then here we are with How to Be Loving. And then, there's I think I had some really bona fide neuroses about a punishing God. And it was really painful. And it's all worked out.
Wow. So this psychological process of basically, and it's so interesting, Dee, that the way that it's all kind of laid out, where there is something about the acceptance, and you talk about this a lot in the book, and I want to get into this, of to make the changes we are seeking collectively to make, or personally in your life, there must be this moment of accepting the reality of what is right now. Right. And there's something about you basically going, I'm okay without these things, then coming to actually it's okay to want what I want, and I do want them. But what shifted between sort of the letting go and the coming back to it? What was in the middle of that process for you?
It was a push-pull. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I was exhausted. Right now, I'm feeling vibrant and super healthy, better than ever, really. But I was tired of carrying stuff. I was tired of striving. Even in with respect to like wanting a partner, I was tired of wanting a partner, going to every cafe and thinking, is that the guy? Like it's just like so distracting. I want to write. I want to lay in the park. I want to be with my friends. I want to do podcasts with you.
Mm-hmm.
And just always looking, looking, looking. That translates into everything, into work, into like, should I get those? Should I get the purse? The freaking metaphor of the purse. I let go of the purse. I don't care about the purse. And that was the beauty of what I think, the Divine Mother has laid down on us over the last 2, 3 years. Like, wake up, see what matters. Your friendships matter. The materialism got us partly into this big pickle. We've got to stick together. I mean, the heartbreak is all the division it's created because we're not getting it. We're not all getting it, but it was deep. My heart was just, the heart, for my experiences, the heart never yells, but it was very persistent. Like it was in my body. Let go. Let go of the work. Let go of the longing. Let go of the dishes. What do I need my grandmother's dishes for? She don't care. I just, 2 pairs of jeans are really okay. And I
There's
just bought a bunch of rad dresses for my book tour, but it's all balance, right?
That's right. All balance. So
Yeah.
in the book, you talk about this concept of sort of truthful identification. So I want to talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that concept and what you see happening, and then what shifts when there is a more truthful identification. So what is the not truthful identification of self?
hmm Well, thank you. That's the heart of the book. That's
Mm-hmm.
what the book is about. Not truthful is I am my problems. I am my thoughts. Wow, someone thinks that about me, said that about me, said it about me publicly. I must be what they said. I am as good as my job title. My car matches my personality, who I am. You are not that. All that stuff is going to dissolve, go away. How could you be that? It's passing. It's not even common sense to think you are your personality. You are something so much bigger. You are a soul. You don't even have to buy into like multi-incarnational, multi-dimensional, whatever. You're bigger. You know that something has been breathing you and attracting stuff into your life. There's something that helps you deal with addictions and conflict and birth projects and humans and mother and all that stuff. You big. And what I keep coming across was mostly in Buddhist teaching is the metaphor of the sky. And you are the sky, you are the sky, you are that vast. I find that to be such a powerful visual. And when I'm in a pickle and think, oh, everything on my plate and the schedule, and he said, she said, I stop. I breathe into my heart, most powerful portal you have in your body. It's like the door to Narnia, and it's there. And you have it all the time. And I think, Danielle, you are vast. And it's immediate. And I go, whatever I was just in a huff about is not that big of a deal. And I've become so much more quiet. There's so many things I don't bring up anymore. I'm just like, that's so not a big deal. He gonna work that out. I don't have to control this.
Oh, it's all
Yeah,
so connected to, from a psychological point of view, high functioning
yeah.
codependency, which happens to be the topic of my next book, around the
Mhm,
putting it down. I wrote this
mhm,
down because I've been saying it since I've been reading the book to myself, for myself, because of course the book couldn't have come at a better time. I'm really happy we're friends and I got to read it first. It's so friggin' good. truthful identification for me. I am pure life energy. I am a divine being. I am a soul. I am a ray of the light of creation. Like, ugh. I am you. You are me. I am the eternal loving presence. I am one with the universe. I am divine love. And there is something so powerful about those words. And what's so interesting, Dee, obviously, I read all the books, I do all the things. We've been in this game for a long time together. You forget, though, until I started reading How to Be Loving, it's like I honestly feel like I somehow got back to like just checking bigger boxes, do you know? But still checking boxes. Like, and really, really getting into holding on to my resentments, like in a way that I was like, how did this happen? Which the light, this became like a little spotlight. So I could, the moment I started feeling the constriction or the anger, I could be like, what are you identifying with? So you talk about sort of this pain coming from being identified with our egos. And it's like this, the illusion of separateness, right? Creating all of this pain. Can you talk a little bit about, because what I love so much about the book and about the way it's all woven throughout the book is that it really is all about inclusion. Like everybody, like all the things. And not just in the narrow way that I saw it. It's inclusion and acceptance. And when you're a recovering control freak or maybe a relapse control freak, that is a tall order, but it's a GPS. It's actually a roadmap when I'm in that moment to go, what am I identifying with right now? And then what do I want to embody, right? Which is what you're guiding me to do in this book. But it's changed so much what I'm experiencing and what I'm doing. And I've only been reading it for 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? So this is something that I feel like I love the way it's laid out. I love the 4 parts. I love the 7 virtues. Like there's so much about it that is so accessible in a way that you always do that though, Dee. That is part of honestly, your magic, your skill set is making it accessible. So no matter who you are, if you want to be more loving or live in a more loving world, DanielleLaPorte.com/how to be loving. That's where you got to go right now. Pre-orders are happening. You don't want to miss it. We have so many exciting events that are going on with this book. Go right now, pre-order it. Anyway, back to talking about this whole thing of separation and the pain of that. Can you talk a little bit about that to us?
The medicine is reverence. So I think what happens is the ego is this big separator, right? So it's like me against them and my past against my future and all of the ways we divide things. And the image I kept getting was that there were all these parts of myself, these fragmented parts that were sitting on the porch of my house. And sometimes I would engage in them. It's like very psych conversation, right? And I could feel their sadness, like my little greedy part and my scared part and my arrogant part, all those parts, they were just like scrappy parts of me. And I really started to get what reverence meant. So, I talk about there's tolerance, which is, oh, I have those parts of myself. I'll put up with them. How would you feel if someone in a relationship was just putting up with you?
Ew.
It wouldn't work, right? It's like you want to be brought in, you want to be, if possible, celebrated. And so I've gotten into this practice of like, okay, all my neuroses, there's a handful of them. I have time for you. I love you. And I actually learned this through some physical challenges, like this, some pesky, chronic, painful body stuff, where I would say to the bodily pain every day, this was hard work. I would say, it's okay that you're here. I'm going to listen to you. You've got something to say. I value you. Some days I couldn't say I was glad you're here. The pain was too much. But this was the ultimate for me. I had to think to myself, okay, if this was my beloved, or, really, what would like the Divine Mother say to me? I would say, it's okay if you come back tomorrow, I'll still be here. And, like I feel moved just saying that. It's just like, This is how mothers love. This is what we do. I'm going to wait till the end of time for you to work your stuff out. And when you love yourself that way, it's just logical that you start interacting with people differently. So I've noticed over the last couple of years, friends come and I've had a lot of psychotherapy. I've done a lot of meditation. They come and I can see some things clearly. My intuition's pretty rad. And I say, rather than I could just see myself, how often my love was commingled with judgment. And now I just say, well, why don't you just love that part of yourself? And everybody exhales.
Mhm.
And they're like, well, I'm so greedy and I'm so jealous of everybody. And I go, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but you're really the sky. Like, there's so many other
Right.
things, you know? And my nervous system is better. I got what I wanted. I feel really useful right now.
Amazing. But the nervous system thing is actually a big deal. So I was listening to one of your pods and we were talking about 5 years ago, I don't even know what it was. And now I think it's like the most tending to and nourishing. The nervous system is one of the most important aspects of living a healthy life. I'm paraphrasing, but I feel like that's kind of what you said. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know what it was. Now I know. And also, here's the irony, right? Is like all these years of trying to transcend. And now I'm just like, no, I need protein and I need just 8 hours sleep.
Mm.
And that tending to my body has become my spiritual practice, which is different from, like, let's be clear, it's a different tone than life hacking or, I want to get in my size whatever jeans. That's different. This is like, I love myself so much. I'm going to get all the greens that I need and hang out with people who make me laugh, or laugh at my jokes. Really, that's my prerequisite. You have to laugh at my jokes.
I love it. So part of the whole thing about the nervous system is really self-care, right? So it's about how do we prioritize? Because again, years ago, and I know for me, there was so much about the hustle, right? It was just so much about the hustle and hacking. It was like there has to be a faster way to do this. There has to be an easier way to do this. I'm going to find whatever that is. And that is all so much constriction. And what I can tell you in reading this book, there are so many points when it creates that full body exhale where you're like, oh, well, that is so much better and more doable. And not that it's easier, but this shift in perspective, even just the whole thing about our wounds, the whole thing about us not being our wounds, even if we're identified with them. And really, just you're the healer is basically what you're saying throughout this book. Like you're the healer and not just yourself. How much as we shift this perspective in a more collective, caring way where, I mean, the bottom line is what you're saying, and you tell me, is that it's all about love.
Yeah, it's all about love. I think lots of us in this space know we're not our past, we're not the womb, I'm not what happened to me. But I feel like we stop there. It's so silly, right? And it's like, well, but what am I?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, actually, you're the healer. You're the parent, you're the guru, you're the medicine, you're the light. And because you're in this human form and all this duality and all this conditioning, this lifetime and beyond, possibly, you're going to have to remind yourself 900 times a day. I think that's another thing that all of us on the, intentional self growth are just like, okay, I am the guru. And then we just kind of think we can set it and forget it.
Mm.
No, you're neurotic and all those other things. So between walking in the front door and going to the bathroom and the kitchen, you're going to have to remind yourself that you are the healer.
Indeed. So if people are right now, if people are like struggling with something, you talk about how we see ourselves and interpret the events of our lives creates suffering or fulfillment. So can you just walk us through that a little bit?
How we perceive the events of our
Yeah, how
lives.
we see
Yeah.
ourselves and interpret the events of our lives.
Okay, so back to You're not your past, you're vast. You are the heart, you're not your personality. So let's just start there. Start to identify with something larger and eternal.
Mm,
That's amazing. And then I think that gets your mind pliable enough to consider that you are a super creator. And this is really difficult for some people, especially those of us who've been through really traumatizing stuff. I mean, everybody's traumatized, but there's like almost heinous, unspeakable things for many beings on the
yep.
planet. I think what happens is a lot of us on the path end up in therapy and we go, okay, we have, and with the help of a therapist, we say, this is how my father treated me. So this is the kind of man I married. And I want to break that pattern. Brilliant, cool, yes, science
Mm-hmm.
backed, proven. That's how
Mm-hmm.
it works. You repeat the patterns until you heal the pattern. I think there's a meta perspective, which is the soul chooses this. And it's inconceivable sometimes. But when you get on the other side, you go, wow, that wasn't the best thing, but that was the most growthful thing. I wouldn't be amazing. I wouldn't be a healer without that. I'm so grateful for that. And you soften, you go, everybody was trying to do their best. And then maybe you go meta and say, maybe I was the vanquisher another
Mm-hmm.
time in this life and another life. So we start to take this kind of radical cosmic responsibility for our life. Then maybe meta is I think we're all here to forgive. I think that's what these last few years on earth have been about is this is an opportunity to forgive ourselves for how we've treated ourselves, to forgive the powers that be, whatever that even means anymore, to forgive each other, let go of our grievances. And here's a big test. Here's a big test that's going to polarize lots of people. Can you still love through the chaos? And when you think that you're choosing things and that you're the healer, how you look at everything changes. You feel powerful. You feel like you have
Right.
capacity.
And you're stepping into it. It's a totally different mindset. And I think that these
Mhm.
past few years, at least for me personally, there's been so much rage and so much feeling unempowered, especially in the US, and feeling so just wanting revenge, like kind of having that feeling of like, wow, I literally hope something bad happens to that person, And who wants to be that, In getting through
Mhm.
that, I would think back and go, well, that thought was a terrible thought for me. That thought didn't do squat to that other person. They don't even know I thought it. And that's the thing with rage and hatred and all of those divisive feelings is that it's not like they go around us, right? Like they're actually going
Mhm.
through us.
Mhm.
And I do not want to feel that way.
Mhm.
Like in life, I
Mhm.
just don't want to feel that way. You were saying something the other day about nuances and how much we're missing and lacking nuances when it comes to whether it's the news or whatever. Because can you share a little bit about why you were even talking about that? Because I was really curious.
I think your capacity for nuance. So let's get clear on what nuance is. It's like, do you see everything black and white and gray, or do you see everything like a stained glass window? Like there's shades and there's colors and there's different layers to every perspective and person and choice and all of that. And I think we can't go into nuance, we can't expand. We stay really lower vibration in that black and white thinking when we're really attached to how we look. We haven't let go of our past. We haven't processed our past. We think what people think
Mm-hmm.
matters. But when we're in like, hey, I'm part of the same miraculous energy that creates rosemary plants and children and the ocean made me. Or I've actually been supported my whole life. I see this a lot. And this has been one of my issues like people with abandonment issues. When you realize you've actually never been abandoned and you will never abandon yourself again. So when you soften and open to that, you can hear so much more in people's perspectives and arguments. So the most important thing you're going to hear is what matters to them. The second most important thing you're going to hear is what you have in common. We all want what's best for our bodies, our children, our businesses, the trees, the lakes, all of that. We actually do. If you have the conversation long enough, you'll realize everybody wants that. And then we can see from that place, we see possibility. It's like, in the book, I talk about what wisdom really is and what resilience really is. My experience has taught me, how do you know? This is like a riddle. How do you know a bad decision from a good decision, a wise decision from an unwise decision? The wise person will always choose what benefits everybody. And it doesn't mean that sometimes someone needs to go to jail. Sometimes there's some kind of, this dimension justice. That's what's, but everybody is making progress on some level. That's a wise decision. Unwise is, this works for me. It doesn't matter if it works for you.
Yep. I love it. Speaking of trees, how many trees has Team DLP planted? And talk a little bit about that initiative, please.
Oh, I've lost track. I think we're over 100,000 trees. One of the charities that we give to is Tree Sisters International. We also work with Ally Global Foundation. They're helping to rehabilitate and create refuge for people who have survived human trafficking. And part of how we do it is through a heart-centered membership, through a heart-centered leadership program. Triple bottom line, all the way.
So good. All right, I want to ask you, first of all, tell us a little bit about this excitement. People are going to pre-order the book. Then what are we doing? What are we getting? What is happening? I want to know.
Pre-ordering is awesome because the hits keep coming. Any store that you like to go to, we really encourage independent retailers online or whatever. Just come to my site, daniellelaporte.com/howtobeloving. Let us know that you got the book. We believe you. And then I send you this beautiful little voice memo. It's called A Loving Reminder, every Sunday for a year. Then I'm doing an event on October 11th about moving from an emotion-driven to a heart-centered life. And then on Sunday, October 16th, I'm doing Church with D and Friends. Leanne Rhymes is going to open us up with a mantra. Beautiful chorus is appearing, and some other sweet folks are coming, and I'm going to throw down and take some questions. And then there'll be book clubs. There's already book clubs springing up with our heart-centered leadership community, and I'm just going to keep going.
Oh, Dee, it's so good. Like I have to say, listen, I love all your work. We're friends. Okay. But the same way though, I was obsessed with, Desire Map. That's how I feel about this now. And I feel like How to Be Loving as Your Heart is Breaking Open and Our World is Waking Up is exactly like the medicine that is not just the medicine that I need, because we've all had these experiences in the past 2.5 years. I feel like it's the medicine the world needs. I really honestly do. I want to ask you one more question, then I'm going to let you go. I always ask people this. Personally, what has been your most challenging boundary struggle and how did you overcome it, if you have?
My most challenging boundary struggle was with a relationship, and how I worked through it was, and this was some psychotherapy advice, rest and recover and restore. So go in, know that it might be a little bumpy because of the dynamic, and like that's okay. And I struggled a bit, like, am I creating this dynamic because I'm going in expecting the dynamic, but I just like, I'm going to be open, but oh, there it was again. And I just like, okay, I'm going to just like take a break for a couple weeks and then re-engage because I love this person and I'm committed to them. And I let it be a dance instead of, a standoff.
Amazing. Very, very helpful. You guys, the book is called How to Be Loving as Your Heart is Breaking Open and Our World is Waking Up by one of my besties, Danielle LaPorte. You want to go to daniellelaporte.com/howtobeloving. Pre-order, get all the goodies, join us for all the events. We are so stoked for you to have this hot little book in your hands. Thank you, Dee, for writing it. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being my friend. I love you. This is amazing.
I love you. I love you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.